Hey guys, back again. It's your favourite snagger. My name's Orlando Murphy. We are New Home Quality Control, and today it's the 2024 developer tier list. Let's go. Right then guys, so as you can see, this year we've added an extra tier. We've added Almost There. Reason for that is so we can spread the developers out a little bit more and maybe be a little bit more fair to the developers. We've also added 3 new developers. So we've got William Davis, we've got Davidsons Homes, and we've also added Wain Homes. So we will be rating 23 developers this year. Now, first of all, before I start, this is solely my opinion as an inspector who's been inspecting these properties. I'm going to base it on what I saw in 2024 with a little bit of, previous experience. It's all my own opinion. Other people are welcome to their opinions. And it's solely based on what I've inspected last year. It doesn't matter who the developer is, really. I'm going to be saying this throughout the video, but I always think that a property should be inspected. It doesn't mean that you have to use us. We are a UK-wide snagging company. We've got 14 inspectors that inspect all over the UK, so you're welcome to use us. With that said, let's get cracking. So we'll start off with CALA Homes. Last year, CALA Homes was in the good tier, so right here. And to be fair, they can stay there. I haven't seen much change in them. They've got a good standard to brickwork. They do a lot of stonework, actually, on the sites that I've seen. Good standard to the decorating. Good standard to the joinery and carpentry in the properties. You never really find anything major structural at a CALA property. So, yeah, I would say they can stay in good tier. Right then, so moving on to William Davis. Now, William Davis, they are a developer that I've mainly seen around the Leicester area. They're a very good developer. We are finding a fair amount of issues at the properties, but they're the same amount of issues that we find on average throughout, the majority of the developers. We're not finding serious issues at these properties, to be fair. They've got a fairly good standard to their brickwork, fairly good standard to their decorating. For me, I would say William Davis is about an almost there developer, okay? A bit more consistency, improvement in different areas throughout the property with the different trades, and they could be in that good tier. I've actually looked at buying a property at a William Davis site. That tells you that I do genuinely think they're a good developer, okay? Right, moving on to Avant Homes. Now, Avant last year were in poor, and I really haven't seen much improvement at all. We sometimes find issues where some of the brickwork is out of tolerance, and that brickwork may need to be rebuilt. Not the whole house, just some of the brickwork. Yeah, general poor standards to decorating. Bathrooms in Avant Homes always stick out to me. I'm always expecting to find issues in the bathrooms at Avant Homes. So yeah, I haven't seen much improvement, if I'm honest. Yeah, I think they really need to improve on their quality control procedure. Moving on to Davidsons Homes. So Davidsons is basically the same story as William Davis, okay? So I see them a lot around the Leicestershire area. They're not extremely consistent. I would generally expect to see a good standard to the brickwork. The decorating can be a little bit up and down. The joinery and carpentry in the properties can be a little bit inconsistent. They're a good developer. I've been onto Davidsons Homes looking at properties possibly to buy in future. So Davidsons Homes, generally a good developer. Bit more consistency, I think, is the key. And I think that's going to be the theme in Almost There tier. Right, moving on to Gleeson Homes. So last year they were in the not for me. And I've got to be honest, guys. I've not seen improvement at all. I may have been on some sites which have been better than others. For sure, that goes without saying with all developers. I always see better sites than others. We're not seeing, major structural issues where the house's whole thing's been knocked down. I'm not saying that. But, we are getting brickwork that's out of tolerance. Yeah, it's just not for me. All right then, on to Hopkins Homes. So last year, where were they? They were in good. And I think they can stay there. I can't say I haven't done a ton of Hopkins Homes over the last year. I've got to be honest. Yeah, I can't think of a bad house that I've ever inspected with Hopkins Homes. So they will stay exactly where they are. Like I've said before, good standard to the brickwork, good standard to the decorating. Hopkins Homes stay where they are. Now then, on to another one of the new developers on this list is Wain Homes. Now then, where do I put them? Now, we find a fair amount of issues at Wain Homes, if I'm honest with you. Right, they're definitely not in almost there, that's for sure. 50-50. So 50-50 tier means that I see a lot of great houses with them, but then the next day I could see a lot of bad houses with them. And I can't remember a lot of great houses that I've seen with Wain Homes, I'm sorry to say. So they can't go in 50-50, so they're going to have to go into poor. But yes, I've seen poor standard to brickwork, I've seen poor standard to decorating, I've seen poor standard to the carpentry and joinery, mastic seals, the general cleanliness of the property. I'm sorry to say, you can be at the top of the poor tier. Right then, next, moving on to Keepmoat Homes. So last year, they were right at the bottom. Keepmoat. And I don't think I've seen houses as bad in 2024 as I saw in 2023. That must be an improvement. They could probably move up one above Gleeson's, but still not for me. They've got a general poor standard to brickwork, poor standard to the decorating, poor standard to the carpentry and joinery. When I think about, see, the issue with Gleeson Homes and Keepmoat Homes, when I find out that I'm inspecting one of these properties, say for example tomorrow I'm going to inspect one of these properties and I find out they're the developer, I'm expecting it to be a bad day. Right then, so next we're on Story Homes. Now last year, Story Homes, where did you guys go? You were in 50-50. You've been consistent. I think Story Homes was one of the developers that needed to go in like an almost there category, which I've now added. Good standard to brickwork, good standard to decorating, good standard to the carpentry and joinery. When I find out that I'm inspecting a Story Homes property, I'm not dreading it. I'm looking forward to the day. So we're now moving on to Taylor Wimpey. So they were last year at the top of good tier, I believe. Yep. So Taylor Wimpey last year were up here. Now I have definitely seen a fall in quality control with them. I'm not saying that they've changed their procedures. It's just the properties that I've inspected haven't been as good as they were in 2023. I would say that they're now in almost there. They do generally have a good standard to brickwork. They generally have a good standard to the paintwork. But I am seeing some properties where some of the paintwork can be horrific and some of it can be great. Bit more consistency, guys, please. And then you'll be straight back into good or even God tier. So yeah, a little bit of a drop off from Taylor Wimpey. I was surprised to see that actually. Right then, so next, Bovis Homes. Now I inspected a Bovis the other day and it was really good. It was really good. I think I inspected another one that wasn't as good as well. So Bovis, where were you last year? Is that Bovis Homes lurking in 50-50? I think Bovis could probably stay there, if I'm honest. I see some Bovis homes that are really good, and I see some that are fairly poor. If you buy any of these properties, I would suggest that you get it inspected. However, yeah, Bovis Homes, you never know what you're going to get. It could be really good. It could not be as good. Generally, they have a good standard to brickwork. I think it's more internal issues that I see at Bovis. So issues regarding paintwork, decorating, mastic, general poor standard to carpentry at some of their properties. I would say that they're a generally good developer all in all. However, they need to be more consistent. Right then, next, Crest Nicholson. So where were you guys last year? Good. So they were in the good tier, and I believe they can stay right where they were. They've definitely not got worse. I wouldn't say that they've improved. I would just say that they've stayed on top of their game, really. Good consistency, good standard to brickwork, good standard to the, decorating inside the property. Carpentry, joinery, good standard. Mastic, good standard. Tiling, all good. A fairly consistent developer. Good quality control procedures. They can stay exactly where they were. Moving on to Miller Homes. Now, recently I inspected a Lynden Homes and it wasn't that good. I gotta be honest. Where were you last year? 50-50. Now, it does depend on where you inspect Miller Homes. Up in Scotland, and Miller, I think, are fairly consistent. In England, they're not as consistent. So where do I put them? Miller Homes. I think they can be at the bottom of 50-50. Just for the fact that in Scotland, they're generally pretty good. In England, they're generally not as consistent. That to me means 50-50. So they can stay in 50-50. Right, St. Modwen Homes. Now, they may have to go in poor, I'm sorry to say. I've been to some developments where there's not massive issues with them, and I've been to other developments where there's just a massive snagging list. Wow, now I feel like I need another tier again between 50-50 and poor, but we don't have it today, so I can only do what I can do. St. Modwen Homes, where do I put you? Right, St. Modwen's. Brickwork, fairly inconsistent, especially in the appearance of the brickwork. Internal finishes, fairly inconsistent. I've seen a lot of bad paintwork at St. Modwen's. Mastic issues I'm seeing. Where were they last year? Where were they? They were at the bottom of 50-50. See, I feel bad putting them in poor, but the 50-50 developers, I see really good Bovis Homes. I see really good Miller Homes. St. Modwen's, have I seen really, really good St. Modwen's homes? Yeah, maybe like one. If I can't tell you that, yeah, I've seen loads of great properties from them, and I've seen some bad ones, yeah, they can go into 50-50, but I think I've only seen one good St. Modwen's this year, so how can I put them in 50-50? I can't. Right, sorry guys, that's where they're going to have to go. Right then, Barratt's. Poor. One of the main things that myself and our inspectors have been talking about this year is Barratt's and how downhill it's gone. I don't think I've inspected a good Barratt Homes property last year. Quality control seems to have gone out of the window. I'm seeing poor standard to the brickwork. I'm seeing poor standard to the decorating. I'm seeing poor standard to the carpentry. In the bathrooms, poor standard. I'm not sure what's going on there at the moment, but from what I've seen over the last year, it hasn't been good. They really drastically need to up their game and improve, because last year has been horrific from what I've seen. 2 or 3 years ago, you were one of my favorite developers. I was going there and not finding a ton of issues, but now every snagging list is just full. Persimmon Homes, I would say that I've seen an improvement, but still fairly consistently poor. Have I seen a lot of great Persimmon Homes this last year? No, I haven't. So they can't go in 50-50. Now the issue we have is, where does Persimmon Homes go on this list? Because honestly, I think St. Modwen's are going to have to go to the top. Then it's Barratt's. Then Persimmon. Then Wain. Oof. Persimmon and Wain. Oof. They're fairly similar. So yeah, I'm happy with that at the moment. That's where they're going to go. Right then, next. So are we going to get a God tier today? Who knows? Hopefully. Right, so next, Bellway. Where were they last year? Where were Bellway? 50-50. And to be fair, they may end up staying in the same place. So I've seen a lot of good Bellway properties. The other day, I inspected an amazing Bellway property. I think it was near Bedfordshire. Really, really great property. I've seen a lot of bad ones though as well. I would say that I've seen some improvement from them. I would say Bellway are now at the top of 50-50. If they can be more consistent, they may jump to and go into the good. Okay. Bellway definitely have a lot of good properties, okay? I don't want you to come away from this thinking that Bellway are a bad developer. I just think they're inconsistent, okay? I think you should definitely get their properties inspected. Can they go at the bottom of almost there is the question. I really want to put them at the bottom of almost there. Okay, let's compare Bellway to William Davis. I see good William Davis properties and I see some with a lot of issues. So surely, to be fair to Bellway, Bovis, I see a lot of really bad ones. Miller, I see a lot of really bad ones. Bellways, I see some. That property we inspected, that had loads. They're gonna have to stay 50-50 because that's just where they're gonna have to go. Right then, moving on. Bloor Homes. All I can say about Bloor Homes is I love inspecting them, and they are by far the best developer, big developer in the UK by a country mile. Their quality control is second to none. General brickwork standard, great. General decorating standard, great. Carpentry, joinery, great. Mastic seals, great. Structural issues, I never seem to find any structural issues at Bloor Homes property. By far, the best developer in the UK is Bloor Homes. And that's like hand on heart. If I was looking to buy one, you never know what could happen, guys. Basically, hats off across the board, everyone at Bloor Home. A great developer. What more can I say? Right then, on to Lynden Homes. Where were you last year? Lynden Homes was in 50-50. Now, I inspected a Lynden Homes property the other day, and it wasn't very good. I think they can stay in 50-50. Yeah, they're inconsistent. What more can I say? Some properties have good brickwork, some have poor. The finish inside can be either good or extremely poor. That's what 50-50 is, I guess. Yep, not much more to say on them really. They're not a bad developer, but they need to be way more consistent. Yeah, they go straight into that slot. Lovell Homes, where were they? 50-50. Now, I don't think I've seen improvement with the Lovell Homes at all. I would say that they've probably dropped a little bit. I think they slot right into here. Generally, a fairly large snagging list. Brickwork issues, decorating issues, mastic, carpentry. Definitely get them inspected. They're not a terrible developer. Right then, Davidsons Homes. Now, this is a fairly sad story. Same with Barratt, if I'm honest. Well, they are a linked company, right? Davidsons Homes last year were in the God tier list, as we all know, and they have dropped. I'm sorry to say. They're still a good developer, okay? Don't get me wrong. But they are way nowhere near as consistent as they used to be. Every inspection I was going to in 2023, the majority of them, great. But I have just seen a drop-off in quality control. Strange, really strange. I'm not sure what has happened. Where did they... I think they're going to have to drop a couple, to be fair. They're almost in the almost there tier, right? What to do. Yeah, I think I'm going to put them at the bottom of good tier. They're still a good developer. However, I'm sorry, I'm questioning myself now, because if I'm saying that they're inconsistent, so this is generally how I would think about these different tiers. God tier means that they're consistently just fairly small reports and great houses that I want to buy. Good would be that they're generally very consistent. Almost there should mean that they're fairly inconsistent but a good developer. 50-50 means that You see great properties, but also you may see very poor properties. Poor would mean that they're generally poor developer, and not for me means that I would probably avoid them. So, David Wilson's, I am sorry, you have dropped from God tier into almost there. Pick up your consistency, improve your quality control, and you'll be straight back up. That's all I can say. Still a good developer, definitely get them snagged. Right then, moving on to Countryside. Now, last year, where was Countryside? 50-50. I've seen a good improvement in Countryside overall. I would put them now at the top of 50-50. Could they go in almost there? Have I seen any bad properties with Countryside? I think my past experiences with Countryside are stopping me from putting them up on the list, but maybe it's time to let go of the past, go off of what I inspected last year, because this isn't everyone else's tier list. This isn't Bob down the road's tier list. This is my tier list on what I inspected last year. And last year I saw a fairly good standard from Countryside. You know what? They can go back there. Yeah. Last but not least, we've got Redrow. Now, I've got an issue with Redrow. There's a site that I'm not going to name that the standard is exceptionally poor, and Redrow pride themselves on quality control, and this site, I'm not sure where the quality control is, but I'm not seeing it. So, where was Redrow last year? Last year, Redrow were at the top of good tier. Wow, that's unbelievable. Right then, let's think about this. I see a lot of good properties from Redrow. I see a lot more good properties than I see bad, right? So I think that would take them out of 50-50 and put them into almost there. Now, they're nowhere near as consistent as they used to be, so they can't be in good tier, right? Good tier means that they're a good developer and they're consistently good, right? Almost there means that they're a good developer, but they're inconsistent, right? So, I think that's what I'm glad that we've put in this almost there tier, because it really does give a home for these developers that are good developers. It's just they're a little bit inconsistent. I'm extremely happy with this list. So just to finish off with Redrow, actually, good standard to brickwork, good standard to decorating inside the property, good standard to mastic, bathrooms, carpentry, joinery, generally good standard. I think they just need to be now a bit more consistent. So right, let's run through everything, okay? So let's start at the bottom. So we got Keepmoat Homes and Gleeson Homes, okay? Not for me. They're consistently poor, right? We see a lot of issues at these properties. They drastically need to improve their quality control, right? Poor will mean that we're seeing a fair amount of issues at these properties. They're consistently poor, nothing too serious, but they've got a massive amount of improvement needed to bump them up the list, right? 50-50, that means that they build great houses, but also they have poor houses. Almost there means that they're a good developer, just they're inconsistent, right? And I am really happy with how we actually we're gonna have to swap these over. I would say Redrow are leading the pack at almost there. Then we got David Wilson, yeah. Taylor Wimpey. A lot of people will be surprised with Taylor Wimpey, but in good tier, these guys are all consistently good. So I'm happy with that. And yeah, God tier, Bloor Homes. Well done. You won it last year. You've won it again in 2024. I'm looking forward to see what you guys do in 2025. To everyone that's watched the video, thank you very much. Yet again, this was based on my opinion, no one else's. And from what I inspected over the last year. Please comment below what your thoughts are on these developers. Comment any developers that you may want to see added in the next video. Please tell me what you thought about adding the extra tier has done for the video. I think it's really helped the video a lot. So yeah, a lot has happened in the last year, by the way, guys. I'm now engaged to be married. I'm looking at buying my first new build next year. I'm sure we'll do a big reveal of what developer did Orlando go with. And yes, until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Peace.